Welcome to another episode of Capital Kitchen. Today we're going to be making this hearty and delicious classic lentil soup recipe with Capital naturally smoked ham sausage. And I'm going to show you how to make this step by step right now on Capital Kitchen. So first up, here are some of the ingredients that we're going to be using today. And the first step of our lentil soup recipe is getting a nice pot over medium-high heat with a good glug of olive oil in there. We're gonna go with about, I wanna say 4 to 6 tablespoons, okay? It depends on how much soup you're gonna be making. We're gonna go in with 4 to 6 tablespoons of olive oil and we're gonna start heating that up. Now coming over to the cutting board for our first ingredient, one of my favorites is Capital naturally smoked ham sausage. And I think it's gonna go just perfectly. And now I like to cut it in half just right off the start because I think it's a little bit easier to work with. We're also gonna cut the end off so we have a nice flat piece to go off of here. Whoops, that extra little bit, I usually snack on it. Okay, we're gonna cut into 1/4-inch slices and then we're gonna just take this ham sausage and throw it straight into our oil. Whew. Careful of the splashing, okay? I do think I want a little bit more. I'm gonna go with the whole sausage link today, so we're gonna keep cutting it. And don't do what I did, don't drop it from 3 feet in the air. And all we wanna do is get some good color on this sausage, okay? And once we've kind of started to do that, like we have here, we can start adding some of our other ingredients. Now, the ingredients to a classic lentil soup are very, very simple. We're gonna be adding celery, carrot, onion, and our lentils. A bit of broth, and we're pretty much good to go, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and go in with our carrots first, and pretty much right after that, because they're pretty close in hardness, we're gonna go in with our celery as well. Now, a big tip with the celery is I've separated the stalks from the leaves of the celery. I like to keep the leaves of the celery separate. They have a ton of flavor, and we're gonna add those in a little bit closer to the end. I don't want to cook them too early or they might burn, but they have tons of flavor, so that's a really good secret there. Beautiful. We're gonna let this go for just a minute or two, and then we're gonna toss in our onions. This is somewhere between like a fine chop and a rough chop. It doesn't have to be too precise because at the end of the day, it's just a soup. It's all gonna cook down. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these in. And we wanna cook these until they go sort of translucent, until they start getting a little bit clear. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a couple cloves of garlic here. Just like that. Now the next step is when I like to add in these leaves. I feel like this is where almost all of the flavor of the celery is, okay? And now we're gonna add pretty much everything else that goes in our soup. So there's not too much left. So this is about a teaspoon each of thyme and rosemary leaves, as well as 2 bay leaves. Okay, careful not to break those bay leaves. Just a light stir, okay? And now we're gonna add in our broth. So what I have here is 6 cups of vegetable stock, okay? And you know what? I can tell from looking at that, that's not enough broth. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, okay? So what I have here are some rinsed and washed lentils, and I've also picked out some of the ones that looked extra damaged. I just sifted through them really quickly, pulled those out, tossed them. If you want the exact measurements for how much we're using for lentils and broth and everything like that, you can check out the link on our website at capitalfinemeats.ca/recipes. We've also got it in the description of this video or even in the comment section below, okay? I have more than I need here. I think I'm gonna go for about that many. We'll give that a stir and see how that's looking. They'll grow quite a bit, okay? They're gonna double to almost triple in size depending on how long we cook this soup, okay? So I wanna make sure I've got a lot in here, but not too many. I like to use a little bit of San Marzano tomatoes, okay? These are crushed tomatoes. If you can't find San Marzano tomatoes, or if you'd rather a less expensive option, you could just use any regular diced tomatoes or crushed tomatoes, okay? Okay, we wanna get that simmer going, and then we're gonna put a lid on this almost all the way. We're gonna leave just a little gap, and we're gonna let that go for you know, as long as we can. We can let that go for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, somewhere around there. And then we're gonna stop cooking the soup once the lentils are softened to our liking. So our green lentils for this exact recipe happen to take somewhere between 35 and 40 minutes before the lentils were the doneness that I like them. Feel free to experiment with that, but let's check out our soup. Here we go. Beautiful. This looks incredible. So you can see here all of our lentils, none of them have exploded. They're all perfectly cooked. So we don't want them to actually burst open, but we do want to, we'll know the soup's done when we taste it, and these are nice and tender and they're not firm or chewy or anything like that. It's so rich looking. We got that oil in there. We got our smoked sausage. We got all kinds of vegetables, lentils, tomato. You can see too, all of these little, these celery leaves, which I love to have in there. They've reduced all the way down. They bring amazing flavor to the soup. You can make all kinds of modifications to this. You could add different vegetables. You could add mushrooms. You could add potatoes. You can add whatever you'd like, really. But this is a classic lentil soup with capital smoked ham sausage. I'm gonna pour a bowl of it right now. We're gonna get a nice serving going, but you really wanna let this cool before you serve it to either yourself or your guests, because this stuff is crazy. I tasted it off camera to make sure those lentils were perfectly cooked, and I'm pretty sure I took 3 layers off my tongue. Let it cool before you eat it. Even though it smells so good, the whole house is gonna be smelling, you know, but careful, watch yourself. All right, cheers. That is exactly what I needed. And that's what you need too. If you like soup at all, you want to give this one a try, trust me. This is just awesome. I mean, what more do you want? It's got everything. It's good for you, it's comforting, you know, it's just gonna taste incredible. We got garlic in there, we got smokiness from the sausage. It really has everything. And with that being said, I wanna thank you guys so much for watching this video, you know, for sticking with us this far. We really, really appreciate it, and we can't even begin to tell you how much it means to us. I've been your host, Alexander, and we'll see you next time.